So welcome to Peru. I've actually been in Peru for 2 weeks now and I've got a week ahead of me, but I'm just getting around to filming the YouTube part of my journey. So come along with me as we go through several different treks and adventures, and we're gonna go into the Amazon. With so much to share with you guys, I'm not even sure where to start. I just have to preface this YouTube video with the fact that I have a ton of vertical videos that I was making and doing around social media. So you're gonna see me revert back to some of those in order to explain some of the cool things that I did because they were just curated really well. And I'm gonna start off by taking you on a run through Cusco because it was the best way for me to feel like I could get acclimated to the altitude. I'm catching my breath, but come on an over 2-mile run with me in Cusco, Peru, one of the highest elevation towns in the entire world, sitting at over 11,100 feet. Let's go. So I actually filmed that after my morning run because it was about 1.2 miles from where I was staying to the Plaza de Armas, which is where we're going this morning. The streets around Cusco certainly were not made for running, but for me it really just added to the fun. I got to run around and see great street art, some cool fountains, but I had to stop and catch my breath a couple of times because even though I've been in Cusco for about 36 hours, I was still adjusting to the altitude. Cusco is built into the hills, so yes, I had to take a couple of different sets of stairs and catch my breath once more, but I finally made it to the central square. About 1.2 miles later, and I made it. I made it. Now the central square, or Plaza de Armas, is also where I met Manuel, who wanted to show off all the art he was selling, and the morning was really just getting started for everyone. And then I ran past this very cool mural to these great ruins, which were once the most important temple of the Incas, and they were later used as a base for the Church of Santo Domingo. Here's the thing. Now I have to run back. No rest for the wicked. Okay, next up, my husband, my friend Joe, and my friend Ethan, which are also my husband's friends, we all went on a 4-day hike through the Salcantay Trail. And so I'm gonna take you along each single day with me. This was an epic first day because we ended up going to Humantay Lake. Now, it may not seem like it's that far, but we're going all the way up the side here, which essentially is, I think, only like 1.5 miles or 2 miles. But at the incline we were at, we had to stop every 15 feet. You can see some of the horses that were helping carry some of the people up there. We did not take the horses. We decided to trek it all on our own, and it was well worth the wait. Here's the crew, and this is our guide, Monica, who was super awesome. I decided to climb to another ridge on the right-hand side and take a look at the blue water because I heard you could really see the color if you just get above it a little bit, and that's what I shared with you. Then we came back to our tent, set up camp for the night, had an incredible lunch and dinner, and watched the sunset. All right, day 2, we are hiking to Salcantay Trail. This was a long day. We woke up at 4 a.m. to get ready on this hike. You can see how far away it is here. And the hiking in Peru is pretty incredible. So essentially you're going vertical for a while and then you get to flatten out a little bit and you go vertical again and flatten out. They said this was a 3 out of 5 hike, and I can tell you guys it was a 5 out of 5 in difficulty. Here's even a picture or a little video of me trying to get up on this rock to take a picture, and I struggled greatly because I was already so tired, but I hadn't quite made it to the base just yet. But once we did make it there, it was worth every single step. And my phone does not truly capture the beauty of Salcantay. If you have the opportunity to go, I highly encourage it. This was our favorite day of hiking, even though it was definitely our longest day because what goes up must come down. And overall, throughout the entire day, we hiked 17 miles. Here we stopped for lunch, and this is Jack and Shadow, and we had lunch with them. These are our Porter's dogs, and I love them so very much. And then we continued our journey down. I kind of put my phone down for a little bit after taking this group selfie because this actually was quite a long hike down too. I think it took us like 5 hours. But then once we finally got to our next camp, we enjoyed with some we enjoyed our cheers with some Jack honey, and there it is. There's the proof of how much we hiked in one single day. On our 3rd day, we actually woke up to one of the sweetest and most wonderful gifts of all. This is Poppy. Poppy has been our chef this whole time, and he made a cake that said Rutger and Friends on it because none of us had a birthday, and it's one of the ways that they express, I don't know, gratitude and love and make your experience while you're hiking extra special, and it certainly did. This was Yacapata Pass. I hope I'm saying that right, but this is essentially an area where you can hike to and then see Machu Picchu from another much much further away angle, and there's also some old Inca ruins like you can see right here. By the way, those guinea pigs you saw just a second ago, those aren't pets, which is cool. No, I think the guinea pig aspect is usually they're cooked and served for special holidays or special events, just as a fun fact and FYI. And yes, we did try some while we were in Peru. This was probably the hardest day for me overall when it came to the hiking. Food, of course, always incredible by Poppy, but it was just a really long day after hiking almost 17 miles the day before. But we finally made it to Aguas Calientes before getting ready to go to Machu Picchu for my first time ever the next day. So let's talk about Machu Picchu, because I ended up going viral for my visit to Machu Picchu, and this is the clip from that.
Hey now, this is what dream.
Yeah, we went viral because we essentially went to this spot. This is one of the different treks that you can take when you go to Machu Picchu, and we were there for several hours, and the fog simply didn't really lift. Luckily, we had other options, though. We got to stay a little longer because we were hiking Huayna Picchu, which is the far peak that you will normally be able to see from a distance, but it overlooks all of Machu Picchu. Here it is. Here's the trek there. It is incredibly steep. I didn't record a whole lot of it because you really have to focus and try not to slip. This is me at the very top, above the clouds, having a great time. But wait, this is Rug and Ethan. They had a hard time. It was a long hike. We've been hiking for a couple of days, so we're tired. Here's me at the peak of Huayna Picchu. You can see all the people trying to get in their photos with Machu Picchu because they experienced the same thing we did. It was hard to see Machu Picchu that day. But the thing is, I knew I was actually going to be coming back because I'm spending so much time in Machu Picchu. There is the peak, there you go, of Huayna. And then I got to see a llama, and I got to see the Temple of the Condor. And this was like kind of my last view as I left and enjoyed a beer before saying goodbye to Monica and continuing on our journey back to Lima. Since we're going back to Lima, I want to take you on a walking tour and show you all the things that I learned with G Adventures while I was there, but also I'm going to take you into the #1 rated restaurant in the entire world, Central. I am currently in the historic city of Lima, in which over 10 million people live, and I want you to come on a walking tour with me and G Adventures to learn a little bit more. Okay, first stop, just a couple of blocks from my hotel, in the middle of Miraflores, there is a pyramid called Huaca Pucllana, an ancient ceremonial site from about 200 to 700 AD. Then we're gonna stroll through Chinatown. The Chinese embassy, by the way, in Peru estimates that there are more than 1.2 million individuals of Chinese descent currently living in the country, one of the largest populations in all of South America. By the way, you gotta try the chifa, a Peruvian Chinese dish that's insanely good. Next, we're in one of Lima's biggest parks where you can see the original walls that protected the city from pirates, as well as look across to the San Cristobal Hill, which has been transformed into a multicolored mural called Project Rainbow. Lima also has their very own catacombs at the San Francisco Convent, or possibly you're going to want to check out Juan San Francisco de la Bodega y Cuadra's old home. He was a Spanish naval officer who explored the northwest coast of North America as far north as present-day Alaska, and fun fact, Bodega Bay in California was named after him. Some other interesting facts about Lima: Lima is the second largest city built in a desert after Cairo, and Lima is home to one of the oldest universities in the Americas. The National University of San Marcos is the oldest continuously operating university in the Americas. This was one of the very first classrooms. That was just a taste of all the things to see and do in Lima. This is a look inside the #1 rated restaurant in the entire world, located in Lima, Peru. We're taking you inside Central, a concept by Chef Virgilio Martinez Veliz. After being on the wait list for over 2 months, we got a last-minute reservation on a Monday night, and the experience starts with an explanation of the local ingredients being used and where they're sourced from, all within Peru. We took on the 14-course Mundo Matter, which takes you from the depths of the oceans through the rainforest to the tops of the Andes. Now, you can do a pairing with your meal, and we chose a variety of proper wines, beer, and cocktails for each course. My favorite item, by the way, is this wine right here, made only for Central, a rosé that tasted like a scotch. Pretty wild, I know, but also the grouper and the goat neck were fabulous. The experience ended with a cacao dessert where they used every single part of the cacao to make an incredible spread that can be enjoyed separately or enjoyed together. This is it. My husband and I were celebrating our 1-year anniversary, and they made this extra course just for us before handing us a book of all the ingredients used that we could take home to remember Central. After leaving Lima, my husband and I hopped on the Aquanera for an Amazon River cruise. And on this river cruise, we got to see and do a lot of really, really cool things. And I'm gonna show you all the different animals that we got to see and all the very cool people that we got to meet and some of the reels and TikToks that I made while I was there. All right, come on, you. I want to show you all the cool things I saw in the Amazon River and the rainforest in Peru. And we're going to start off strong with an anaconda. Moving on to these beautiful moths that I saw everywhere. A spiky branch that I don't know the name of that, but it was cool. A strangler tree strangling a tree. A tarantula. A sloth on its day off from the DMV in its natural habitat. A bird-eating spider. A tiny poisonous dart frog, some leafcutter ants, some of my favorites. That's a woolly monkey because he has like woolly type fur. These are pygmy marmosets, the smallest monkeys in the entire world. Some really cool red mushrooms, giant tree, and then of course a picture of me, reference to the giant tree. Onto the Amazon River, let's talk about the paichi. They can get up to 400 pounds, if you believe that or not. Insane. So you got a caiman, little baby caiman, missing part of his snout. Pink river dolphins, a highlight of my trip, but super elusive. Here's some piranha. And then myself, well, I decided to take a dip. It's not like there's anything in there that can kill me, right? This next part of my adventure, I head back to Cusco and Rutger heads home, but it's for a really cool reason, and I'm gonna share that with you right now. So I'm staying another week in Peru. Because we're here at the World Community Tourism Summit. Let's go. This summit by G Adventures brought over 350 people from all over the world to Cusco, Peru to learn about sustainable travel, ways in which travel can both positively and negatively affect communities, and how the travel industry is rapidly changing. It's all a part of Planetara's 20th anniversary. By the way, they're a nonprofit focused on using community-based tourism to change lives. 8 hours later, we were invited to the Gold Party. And at first, I wasn't sure what to expect from this initial invite, so I bought that top and vest at Goodwill, back in the States just a couple of months ago. And I think it did me pretty well. This was actually a really great bonding experience with the group I was going to continue my travel on with for the rest of the week. After the initial party, we were bused to a second location where the village people, yes, the real village people, you know the songs like YMCA and Macho Macho Man, those hits were performed live. And at some point we ended up on stage because it's a party, right? This is Nina. I put her on my shoulders, and then unbelievably, she put me on her shoulders. Talk about some thigh strength. And then we cheers and got ready for a great week of travel, which I can't wait to share with you all. Have you ever heard the term community tourism before? Well, prior to my 3 weeks in Peru, I wasn't exactly sure what that meant. But as Planetara's president Jamie Sweeney explains, it's a deeper way to connect with people who live in a place that you're visiting.
Well, I think it's really for us about working with these small, rural, often rural, sometimes urban communities to show their history, their culture, their nature, their way. And that allows travelers to be able to interact with people on an even setting. And that really, it could be life-changing both for the traveler and for the host.
Peru is a great example of a country that has been changed by community tourism, and a country that hosted over 350 people from all over the world to learn more about how tourism affects communities both in positive and negative ways. At the very first ever World Community Tourism Summit hosted by G Adventures and Planetara.
Jessica Nabongo was a speaker at the summit, sharing her lessons from being the first Black woman to travel to every country in the world.
I would say the two most important lessons that I've learned from visiting every country in the world is, number one, most people are good. And it's funny because when I say that, people are like, but I'm like, no, think about it. In your everyday life, how often do you really have a negative experience with someone? It's not something that happens daily. So definitely most people are good. The kindness of strangers really powered my journey. And then I would say we are more similar than we are different. I think if we can just get back to our humanity and realizing it doesn't matter your religion, your age, your gender identity, sexual orientation, we're all just people trying to do our best.
When you think about tourism here in Peru, this is probably what you think about, right? Machu Picchu, one of the 7 wonders of the world. But the community here in Peru has so much more to offer.
The area of Sacred Valley in Peru is a great example of how community tourism changed the lives of people living there. Decades ago, tours would just pass by communities on their way to Machu Picchu, forcing many people to leave their homes in order to find work in more active places where tourism was present. But with community tourism projects, tourists are now introduced to the history and the culture of those living in the Sacred Valley right in their own communities. From learning traditional weaving techniques to helping protect some of the over 3,000 types of potatoes grown in Peru.
We're allowing people to help themselves. We're giving them a hand up, not a hand out. And ultimately, what I've seen doing over 100 of these projects in some 68 different countries is just seeing the pride these people have, the confidence, the growth, the fact that it changes the dynamic between men and women in their communities. And I just feel incredibly honored and blessed, and you know, how lucky am I to do that for a living.
What we do is actually to change people's life. You know, we want to make just such a beautiful experience here for travelers. And I want to say, like most of the Peruvians, we are like this. We are like super friendly people.
And if you're wondering what the future of travel looks like, well, Jessica has some thoughts on that.
I'm excited for on-the-ground experiences. I think what we're seeing is that people care more about local communities. People care more about getting to know locals when they're visiting, and care more about being a good traveler and leaving a positive impact on those communities.
Next time you visit Peru or anywhere else in the world, go ahead, look into any community tourism projects. That actually might lead you into some hands-on experience learning from the locals.
So now that you've seen why I circled back into Cusco, I created that story about community tourism so I could share that with people in the United States. It's a new story that I did, but I also got the opportunity to trek around with that great group that you saw. They're all content creators and press, and this is where I got to go back to Machu Picchu, and this time I actually got to see it from its iconic spot and hear a little more history about it and learn more than I did my first trip, which was really, really exciting. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it except that it's been an incredible and wild journey, and it was wild for it to end with me back at Machu Picchu, having this moment of relief, getting to enjoy it with my new friends. And after 3.5 weeks, it was time for me to head home. I think one of the most important things about travel, and something that I've learned while I've been here in Peru, is just how incredible people are all over the world, and getting the opportunity to meet so many people. So this part of my trip, I'm meeting people from all over the world coming to Peru, but in the sense I really mean people all over the world, like the people you meet when you travel to a different country, to their home country, and you get to experience it and see it through their eyes. And it's, I don't know, I'm just really grateful to have such an opportunity and to even get to share it with you guys.